Hello and welcome to virtualtraining.us. My name is Devin Gandhi. In my previous video, I showed you how to configure a Cisco 1130 series access point from lightweight iOS to autonomous iOS. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to configure the Cisco 1130 series access point for home and small office use. So in this lesson, basically we're going to configure two SSID, one for personal use and other one for the guest. So when you have some guests come over to your house and they want to connect to your Wi-Fi, you can give them access to the guest access point basically. Just keep in mind that you're not limited to two SSID, but just for simplicity and just to make this tutorial shorter, I'm just going to go ahead and configure two SSID. So let's go ahead and get started. So what you see on the screen right here is just a typical example of the small office, home office network topology. So in my case, you have the internet coming from the cable DSL provider. So this is a cable DSL modem. I have the 1841 Cisco router, 2950 Cisco switch, and then Cisco 1130 access point. You have to configure the router so it can pass both VLANs basically. So we're going to have VLAN 10 for the home use with the subnet of 10.10.10.0, and then we're going to have the second VLAN, which is VLAN 99 for the guest use, and it's going to have a subnet of 192.168.99.0. So in order for traffic to pass, you need to make sure you're both your Cisco switch is configured as a trunk port on those two ports, and then the router is configured as a router on a stick basically, so it can pass the traffic between two subnets. You may also need to apply some access lists. So if you want to prevent guests from accessing your home network, then you may need some you may need some access list for that. And if you need to know how to configure the router on a stick, which is also called the inner VLAN routing, I have the video on that too, so you can watch that. And then I have video on the basic configuration of Cisco switches, so you can watch that, and it'll show you how to configure Cisco switch. And then in the end, what we're going to do, we're going to have two devices connecting to the Wi-Fi we configure, basically the two SSID we configure, one on the guest network and one on the second one is going to be on the home network. So what I have here is the documentation on pre and post configuration, and there's a disclaimer is the first thing on the top, which you guys can read that. So as far as prerequisite is concerned, basically we need to have a power brick or PoE switch to power your access point. Also make sure you have the autonomous iOS loaded onto your access point. The switch port connecting to the access point needs to be configured as a trunk port, which as I told you guys earlier. You also need to set up a inner VLAN routing on your router so you can pass traffic between two subnets. You need a console cable and a telnet SSH client such as PuTTY or Secure CRT or anything else you guys prefer to use. Okay, so as far as pre-configured, so when you first reset your access point from lightweight to autonomous, the default password for that is Cisco with a capital C. It's a case sensitive. So what I've done on this access point, basically I went ahead and configured the host name, service parameters, domain name, and configure the console and VTY access. Now none of this is required for the access point to work, but it's kind of good practice to have all this pre-done, just as in standard, so you guys can get used to it on doing on the other stuff such as switches or routers, stuff like that as well. So again, all this right here is not required, but it's always good to go ahead and do that stuff. So also as far as the post configuration is concerned, okay, so you can have we're going to need the DHCP pool, one for the home and other one for the guest. Now most of the time you want to have your DHCP pool on the router. But in my case, I'm going to configure this on the access point so you guys can see how to create a DHCP pool basically. So let's go ahead and do that as a step 1, and then we'll go through the rest of the other step. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do a show run just to give you a basic idea of what I have on this so far. It's just basic configuration as I stated before. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is create the DHCP pool. So let's do config T. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to set aside 55 or 54 addresses, or both home network and the guest network, so we can use it statically on anything we like. So the DHCP pool name is going to be home. Network is going to be 10.10.10.0 with 24/24 subnet mask. The default router is going to be 10.10.10.254. The DNS server is going to be, I'm going to use the Google DNS server. And for the home use, I'm going to lease this IP address to the user for 3 days basically. Now we need to repeat the same step for the same step for the guest network. So let's do IP DHCP pool guest network 192.168.99.0. Default router is going to be 192.168.99.254. DNS server is going to be same what I've used before. And since this is going to be for the guest, I'm going to lease it for 1 day. Now let's go ahead and do some exclude statements so we can reserve those IPs. So IP DHCP excluded addresses. So I'm going to do 10.10.10 200 to 10.10.10 254. And I'm going to do the same thing with the guest network. Okay, so we completed this part right here. So next thing we're going to do is configure the access point radio interface with the two SSID, one for home and one for the guest. Define the SSID, define the encryption mode. We're going to specify the VLAN to use with those SSID and activate the radio interface. So let's do interface.11 radio 0. Encryption is going to be TKIP. Encryption VLAN is going to be 10. Net cipher. The SSID is going to be home, and then we're just going to do no shut, and we'll do the same thing for the second one, which is the encryption VLAN 99. Okay, so we've completed this part right here. So the next thing we're going to do is configure the access point radio interface to the SSID created above, and then broadcast the SSID. So we're going to configure the SSID to .11 interface, specify the VLAN to use, set the Wi-Fi encryption mode, which is the nowadays WPA PSK2 is more typical. WPE is not even used, hardly any use anymore. And the assign the security key. So this is the key that you go ahead and give it to the guest or whoever needs to connect to your guest Wi-Fi, basically. Or for your home use, you give it to the home user. So let's do that. So let's say .11 SSID home. VLAN is going to be 10. Authentication is going to be open. Authentication key management WPA version 2. And then we're going to say we're going to broadcast, so MB SSID, it's going to be guest mode. And the WPA PSK ASCII key that we're going to use, I'm going to call it Cisco 123. So anyone on your home network want to connect to your Wi-Fi, this is the key you would provide to them, basically Cisco 123. Let's repeat the same thing for the guest network. So let's say this .11 SSID guest. VLAN is going to be 99. Authentication open. Authentication key management PA version 2. We're going to broadcast the SSID in guest mode, and the key WPA PSK ASCII keys, I'm going to call it Cisco 12345. So keep it a little different from the home use. So the next thing we need to do is go ahead and configure the radio subinterfaces so we can bind them to the bridge group, basically, so it can pass traffic. So to do that, let's do interface .11 radio 0.10. So anytime you after 0 anything with the dot number behind it, it's your sub interface, basically. Encapsulation is going to be .1Q 10 native. So whatever the sub interface you create, you want to make sure your encapsulation matches that number, basically, just to make life easier. So in my case, I created .10 because it's my 10 subnet, so 10, and so my encapsulation is also .1Q10. Then I need to do the same thing. We need to do a bridge group 10. Let's do interface .11 radio 99. This is going to be for the guest. Encapsulation .1Q 99, and bridge group, we're going to call it 99 just to keep everything same. Now, since we only have one Ethernet port on the access point, we need to create some sub interface on that fast Ethernet 0 port, so it can route the traffic, basically. So let's do interface fast Ethernet 0.10, Same step we're going to repeat, basically encapsulation dot 1q10 native. And bridge group is going to be 10. And then we need to do the same thing for the guest. So interface fa0.99 encapsulation dot 1q99 bridge group 99 shut exit. So the last thing we need to configure is the bridge virtual interface, so we can manage the access point remotely, basically. So you can log in and look at the traffic and who's connected and other stuff. So let's go ahead and do interface BVI1. The IP address, we're going to do 10.10.10. I'm going to assign just 250. Now you can assign any IP address between range of 10.10.10.200 to 254 that you set aside. But your 254 is your default router, so you can't do that. You can assign anything else but .254. So I'm going to hit enter. Then we're going to go ahead and do no shut. And then last thing we need to do is go ahead and set the default gateway. So IP default gateway is going to be 10.10.10.254. And then we want to go ahead and broadcast both SSIDs. So let's do .11. There we go. So it went ahead and turned up the .11 radio 0, changed to up. Alright, so I think this is the configuration to get the access point up and running. Okay, let's do show run, so you can see the entire config, and I'll put a copy of this config on my page as well, so you can download it if you need it, and then modify it to fit your need, basically. So here's to pull we created. Here's the excluded address, so we're reserving 200 to 254 and 200 to 254 on both subnets, basically. Here's the two SSID we created, the guest and the home, and the key is encrypted right here. You can't see the Cisco 1234 or 12345 because it's encrypted. Here's the sub interface we created, .10.99, and then here's the sub interface for the fast Ethernet port, which is 10 and 99. So I mean, I'm just keeping all the sub interface name and stuff like that same to match the subnet and the VLAN, so there's no confusion, basically. Here's the BVI interface, and then here is the default gateway. So if we go ahead and do the show.11 association client, we shouldn't see anything connected right now. So yeah, see, there's nothing connected. If we do the same thing with the all clients, we don't see anything connected either. If you do show.11 broadcast SSIDs, we see there's two SSID, guest and home. They're both up because it shows guest mode, yes, yes. And then if you do the show.11 statistics client traffic, it will show you which clients are connected and what kind of traffic you're passing. Since we don't have any client connected, you're not seeing anything. So let me go ahead and connect my phone as well as my laptop to two different network, and we will be able to see what kind of traffic we're passing basically.
Okay, so I just connected two of my devices to the access point. So let's go ahead and run this command again. Show.11 client. And as you can see that one is connected to the guest and the second device is connected to the home network. Now if we do show.11 association all client, this gives you kind of more detail than the previous command. So basically it tells you that here's the MAC address of the device, this is the IP address. Then it tells you right here what the signal strength it's connected to. Also tells you how long it's connected for. Last activity 24 seconds ago. Then it tells you the byte counts and stuff like that right there. Same thing with the second device right here, connected to 10:10:10:58. Signal strength connected for 30 seconds. Actually 282 seconds and 30 seconds last time out 30 seconds ago. And again the byte counts and stuff like that. Let's do the last command, which is to show .11 statistics client traffic, and this will tell you about the each devices that's connected, the VLAN they're connected to, also the packets, transmit and receive packets and stuff like that. So it gives you all that right here. So that's all it takes to configure the Cisco access point 1130 and get it up and running. I'll go ahead and post the config with the video as well, so you guys can download and modify it to fit your need, basically. So that's it for me. I mean, if you like my video, go ahead and hit subscribe button on the below. And thank you for watching, and see you on the next video.